Let's now look to the zoomed area uh, where parity optimality is possible for the parity improvement is possible for the union and the company. Note that we were at point A, which is actually the top point. Here it doesn't look like that, but it's actually the top point. So if you move to the gray area here between A, G, K, M, and K, you can see that we are going to the left side, right side of the U curve, above U curve, actually U curve of the union. We are at the same time go below the union curve, the utility curve of the company, which means both company and the union can be better off. It is possible because we are increasing employment above the most efficient point. But by doing that, the union also accepts a certain level of wage decrease, and that wage decrease is basically, well, uh, well, more than enough for the company to get a higher level of profit. So, and since here at the very top point the slope is 0 and slope starts just increasing, the slope of the utility curve of the union is greater for a while at least, which basically means there should be a point between this this utility curve of the union and the ANRP curve, which intersects the utility curve of the union at the top point, where you are able to make some Pareto improvements. And basically, MK is the contract curve in this case. Well, here we have a real contract curve. In the other case, actually, we only had some predictions where union make contract, although different shapes of the ANRP curves can differ. The potential contract curves for the company. Here we have real contract curves actually. U1 and ANRP1 intersects at M, and K for a different U and ANRP curve. So basically, as long as you are at M and K, you are able to make parity improvements. But without this bargaining process, basically, if wage level is set and basically the company is just accept the wage level, in that case, the point where contract is made, which is A, or equilibrium is reached, which is A, it is not the Pareto efficient point as long as you are also able to bargain for the employment level and wage level together, collectively, basically. So now we can come to the basic tool between the company and the union. Well, not always you can make part of improvements, even after an initial increase in productivity. There will be some bargaining process going on how to distribute the benefits, and things would be much more difficult if it's not, you don't have benefits to distribute, but rather some losses to be taken out from either workers or the company. And in that case, actually, the strikes are the main power of the union. The companies also have a tool similar to the strikes, which is called lockout. You lock the workers out of the workplace, in which case you bargain with all of your workers for something like a lower wage, basically. And basically, well, the well, in theoretical sense at least, you might expect, you might predict when the strikes will end up, and basically whose proposal in terms of the wage level and employment conditions levels the collective bargaining will reach in the end. Of course, that's assuming that we know the bargaining power of the union and the company in full sense. Well, strikes are mainly happen if unions or employers are not sure on each other's bargaining power, or at least want to test or show their bargaining power. In some cases, even if you know the other side's bargaining power, you might want to show your bargaining power. And in other cases also, you even might want to impress other workers. And strikes might be a way to impress other workers. I mean, forcing your employer to get a higher wage by strikes might be something powerful for the unions. And the bargaining power, both when the company and the union sit together, but also when a strike starts, depend on union's bargaining power and management's bargaining power. Both depend on the other agents' conditions. Basically, union's bargaining power depends on cost of management disagreeing union terms, which means what will happen if the management don't agree with union terms. What will a union do? In what terms it will be costly for the management. And cost of management agreeing union terms. I mean, if they agree, then what they will lose. I mean, compared with their offer, what will be the additional cost for the management. The more cost of disagreeing union terms increases, the more will be the union's bargaining power. Management bargaining power is just a parallel case, cost of union disagreeing management terms and cost of union agreeing management terms. And those costs can be actually inflicted in different ways. For example, famously, farm workers union in the United States, when they go to strike, they initially production could continue because the companies were employing illegally, I mean, undocumented immigrants that have come to the United States were employed in farms, and the Hispanic workers who are citizens of the United States, they were striking actually, and so that strike could not prevent the production to continue because, again, this labor supply from Mexico was replaced them. However, then the union also appealed to the customers, and customers had boycotted the grapes in the vineyards which the farm workers were collecting. And as a result, I mean, this additional cost inflicted by the solidarity of workers and the unions in the end has brought the employers, in this case, to the agreement the union was proposing. And basically, well, whenever you have strike, basically, this is union's concession curve, because the longer the strike goes, basically both the employers and unions, the agreement they are winning in this, which is here expressed in wage, of course, but that can be also working conditions, will get closer. I mean, they will both basically will be more ready to compromise. This is union resistance curve, and this is employer concession curve. And at the point they meet will be the agreement, basically. If both have a high bargaining power, in that case, the agreement might take a very long time. If both have low bargaining power, in that case, agreement can happen at a very near time, actually. So when we go back, actually, you can see that the time when union has a high bargaining power is the time when, for the management, cost of disagreeing with the union terms is relatively high, and cost of management to agreeing with the union terms is relatively low. So if the cost of management agreeing with union terms is also high, in that case, basically the union's bargaining power will fall down in that case. So the more cost it is able to inflict on the management, the more it will trust its power to force management to agree. Actually, here that might be a missing part of the model. It even doesn't care that much on its own power. It just looks to the its power to inflict damage to the management, and basically, if that damage is relatively high compared and the management is basically accepting the terms is not that costly for the management at the same time, union will continue to strike for a longer time. Well, similarly for the management, if their power to inflict damage on the union is higher, cost of union of disagreeing with the management terms is higher, while cost of agreeing management terms is relatively low. Maybe they are not that desperate. Management takes its power from its ability to damage the union. And when this ability is there, then it will basically continue to strike, doesn't come to an agreement. When their relative power to damage each other is low, basically, which might be also because agreeing to terms are for both of them very costly. In that case, their strike, won't last long because they think they won't be able. That strike won't be effective anyway. In that case, and they will end up at a shorter point. In that case, the strike will last shorter in that case, and in some cases it might not even last. Basically, well. Theoretically, it's possible for the union and the employer to basically guess where the strike will end up and come to agreement at that point. But the more power they have in each other, the more they might trust they might end up in a higher point than the counterpart is willing to agree on at that point, and the longer the strike might last. And in some cases also both union and employer might want to show each other. And in some cases also, if union is bargaining with multiple employers, to all employers, all workers. In case of the employer, it's power. If I say I'm powerful, I can last a long strike. I can manage to endure its hardship. Basically. So giving meaning to the model. Basic Edward model tells us a buyer and seller will only trade if both of them are likely to benefit from the trade. However, relative gain of buyer and seller from the trade depends on their bargaining power. So both will benefit compared with starting point, of course. However, the benefits might change according to each other's power. Union and employer will trade with each other when each other gain from the trade, which means union workers gain from selling their labor power and employer gains from the buying it. Just application of Edgeworth box logic to the labor market. Well, I think this is a good point to stop since we are very close to 15 minutes mark. So let's continue in the next part.